Okay, Barry, we're transfer deadline day is finally done. The January transfer window's over. You brought in 6 players. Just give us your thoughts on those 6 players and how happy you are with your business this month.
Yeah, listen, everyone knows that we wanted to strengthen the depth in the squad. I think we've done that. The 6 players we brought in are a mix, but the vast majority of them are experienced Premiership players, and we know what we're getting before they come in. We have experience of working with them before, hands-on, and that leaves it a very seamless transition for us. We've seen some of them in the starting 11 and teams already in January, so we're keen now just to get things. It's been very disruptive for the existing players in the last month, obviously change of management, players out, players in, so it's a case now of just drawing the line and getting focused on what the business of football is, and knowing that who's here now is in it to fight to the end, and we're confident that we've done enough business in January that will help the squad compete in a more competitive fashion over the next coming weeks and months.
Do the new signings, coupled with the existing players that are still here, do they give you sort of a more defined, maybe a way of playing, whether that's formation wise, whether it's a style of play, or even if you are going to make any changes in that regard?
The priority is that it gives us options, game after game, based on who we're playing, based on what position we find ourselves inside games, but choice, competition for places, for boys that don't make the starting 11, that you can turn to your bench and make critical changes that will impact the game, hopefully. I don't think maybe in previous months there was enough of that, or we had the option of doing that before January, and it's important that players know that there's competition, so it removes that player laziness in their head, that comfort zone where they know they'll maybe be in, week out. Gives us an opportunity to keep them hungry and keep them fresh, because at this point we're going to have a lot of very competitive games that we need to have a full squad and the fitness of the full squad, so that we can pick and choose who and when at the right times.
And obviously, as I were talking on transfer deadline day, and the business is done, but looking ahead, the next sort of 10 days, you've got an Irish Cup last 16 game on Saturday. You've then got Ballymena the following Friday, which is obviously a huge game, and one you touched on that you've really been looking closely at, and then Loughgall on February the 13th. I mean, without wanting to put too fine a point on it, do you look at this as sort of probably the most critical period since you've come in, now that all those transfer dealings are done?
Yeah, 100%. We're not making any bones about it. Obviously, Irish Cup to start. Irish Cup is always a big game, regardless of who you're playing, what stage you're at, because as a team and a club, we want to stay in the competition as long as we can. And it gives players an extra game away from the league madness for us to fine tune and tidy up things that we've been working on in the last number of weeks. But the 10-day period after that is massive, and everyone keeps talking to me about what happens if you lose this game and you do that. We have an opportunity to eliminate the 6-point gap in the space of 4 or 5 days, and that's what we're focusing on. Not the fact if we don't win this and if we don't do that. It's just too negative for me. It's the focus. We understand the challenge that's going to be in them 2 games, but we have a very fully fit panel of players now to pick from. And we have to focus that we need wins. We need to look. I'm not saying we're guaranteed wins or anything that far from it, but we need wins, and that'll be our focus. And if we don't get that win in the first game, then you refocus for the next, and so on and so forth. It's a case of it's not the final day here. This isn't the make or break game. It's just a game that we have prioritised because we have the opportunity to remove the gap. If we don't get full 3 points in one game or either game or whatever, it won't finish the season. It'll just make it more difficult for us to do what we want to do. But we're confident with how we're going about our January business and what we've been doing in the training pitch, and some of the performances and the gaps that we see still that needs to be filled. We have now a final week to try and put that in place and close them gaps as tight as we can, so that it gives us the best opportunity, and particularly the next league game, which is Ballymena.